Timmy Joe reviews anything.
Reviewing computer parts on YouTube.
That's
Woo! Gotta be pumped on that, right, Will? Computer parts! Woo!
Oh yeah.
What's going on? It's Timmy Joe. Got the windows open. There'll be birds chirping, cars driving by, but I need to, keep the temperatures down in here and relatively, stable because we're doing some air cooler testing. And when you think of air coolers, you normally think, if you're thinking really high end, of the brown Noctua top dogs, the NHU12A and the NHD15. And I have the two right here, and we're doing some air cooler testing today because, well, Deepcool Gamer Storm thinks they can knock Noctua off their top dog spot.
You okay?
With the Assassin III. The Assassin III is a gigantic NHD15 killer, and we're gonna see if we can take that performance crown. This thing looks absolutely massive, and I've been very excited. I've had this for like a month, and they kept pushing the date back for release, but it's releasing today on September 25th. So we finally get to testing. I have opened this up just to look at it, but I have not installed it or anything yet. So this should be a fairly virgin unboxing. So you got a nice giant box talking about overclocking, copper base, tools included, PWM, FBD bearings, nickel plated, all that good stuff. But yeah, here, let's open this up. And what I really liked is, well, Noctua does this as well, but they've included a full tube of thermal paste here, and that's always nice to see. And yeah, it's just a regular tube of thermal paste, nice green one. So we're going to be using this because it came with the system, and I've been using the NH1 that comes with the Noctua stuff for theirs, just so, whatever. And then there's a applicator card, which I think that's fun. So we got an alcohol wipe, an applicator. I should have used this earlier. I was using like a razor blade to make, I like to spread my thermal paste. And then we have some pretty interesting looking, pretty nice TF140S fans. And that's the same kind of fan design that they have on their AIOs, where there's this like little extra swooshy bit that, I don't know if you can see there, that surrounds the fan there. So these look pretty nice. Whoa, there we go. Wait, there's something else that was missing. Whoa, a nice screwdriver. That's a pretty nice long with a Gamer Storm logo on it. I like it. So let's look, and we have a very similar look to the NHD15. Very similar. So we're testing inside of the MSI Secura. That's the case I got for the build the other day, and it's not the best example for airflow. I mean, there's 2 inches here of intake on either side, with two 200 mil fans inside here that blow the the air inside, but got no fans on the top. There is an exhaust vent that's right close to the CPU cooler. I think this is fairly indicative of a lot of tempered glass and NZXT cases that are geared more towards a little more silent case and not really the best airflow. Like it's totally blocked off in the front. So this is going to give these coolers a good run for their money, and I think give more of a real world scenario compared to if I just put them on a test bench or something. So let's get to let's get to installing it. Let's make it happen. All right, so I don't know about you guys, but it was pretty hard to tell which was the loudest. I mean, I'm no dBA expert. I don't have a dBA meter, but here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that the NH-U12A, even though it has the highest RPM fans at 2,000, NH-U12A is the quietest, or like would register the least dB, and then it would probably be the NH-D15, and then it would be the Assassin. But you guys just heard it, right? I'm pretty sure as far as noticeable a sound, like it's a different thing if something's louder or if it has a more higher pitched noticeable sound. The NH-U12A has the most wound out, ranky sound near the top end of the spectrum. The NH-D15's, kind of in the middle. And then the Assassin has more of a regular kind of lower end fan sound. That's something you've learned to ignore over like a more higher pitched sound. So even if this one was a little bit quieter and this one's a little bit louder, I would notice this one walking into a room before the Assassin. So not to say that like they're even that much far apart for sound, but if you're actually like stretching your ears, you might say, oh, the Assassin's is a little bit louder, but it's not as noticeable of a sound. But they'd all be within a couple of dB of each other for sure. They're all pretty quiet coolers. Other things to consider. This guy here fits in almost any situation. It's awesome that this cooler exists for sure because it didn't have any compatibility issues, me plugging it in the system. Unfortunately, when we switched over to this cooler, the D15, I had to switch the RAM up because I could not fit the front fan in there. And that's where you'd want to put it because there's an exhaust fan on that case. You'd want to have this one in the front, and even if I could have somehow fit it in between there, sandwiched, it still would have been sticking up because the I/O cover has like a plastic thing on it on that motherboard. So both of these guys had RAM compatibility issues as far as you can't see the RGB memory. So if that's something that's important to you, totally covered up pretty much by both of these guys. And the fans were sticking up just a little bit with some G-Skill Flare or Trident Evo RAM, and it wouldn't even work at all with Corsair's Dominator because it's so high. So that is something to be considered. As far as looks go, though, I think the Deepcool takes the crown. It's got black fans. It's a no-brainer. And they're pretty nice fans for sure. And, it's got a more polished metal look on it, like a stainless steel or like just a polished aluminum, I guess. Probably nickel-plated. As to where the Noctuas both have like a brushed aluminum look. And because I've had them for a while, they're starting to tarnish. And I was trying to shine them up, and it's pretty damn hard to get any sort of polish in between all of this without really making a mess of it. So I kind of gave up on it. Where I think that the Assassin would last a little bit longer as far as looks goes. Those little spoilers are subjective, and I didn't like that I had to apply those little stickers on there. I get that makes it so, you can either leave them off or you could put them in a different orientation if you're mounting the cooler like this. But I definitely didn't put them on the straightest, so I don't know. That's not the biggest deal, I guess. But I had to put some stickers on myself, and I'm not very good at it. And then we get down to the actual performance crown here. And would you believe that the Deepcool Assassin III won straight up? Okay. Putting it on the exact same CPU, a Ryzen 3700X at 4.2 gigahertz at 1.339 volts. I wanted to do 1.34, but it put it down just a skosh under that. With LLC set to like level 3 and the XMP profile set to, well, it ended up being 3200 megahertz on all of them, even though I switched the RAM kit out. I still left it at 3200. So, yeah, totally won. By like 2 degrees, if not even, not even. So the NH-U12A, after a 10-minute IDA64 FPU CPU cache stress test, averaged 77.9 degrees and had a max of 82 degrees, 82.6. This guy here, 77.7, so 0.2 degrees lower average, and an 82.1, so a 0.5 degree off or less on the NH-D15. So we're talking like almost margin of error. I ran this test 3 times on each cooler and averaged it out. So I mean, a margin of error, sure, but I tried my best to get the best, whatever. Anyways, the Deepcool did 76.9 degrees on average, which is, pretty decent. It's like 0.8 lower average and 80.8 max on that test. So, I mean, it's nothing to scoff at, but what is that? It's, like a degree and a half almost. So pretty good. And then I wanted to test some more shorter workloads, so I did the old Cinebench R15, and I'll put the results up on the screen. But the average for the Deepcool was actually a substantial bit lower, running it 3 times in a row, and then a 69.8 max instead of a 70.8, so like a 1 degree difference running Cinebench R15 3 times in a row, getting a max there. And then I ran Cinebench R20. It's a little bit longer of a workload, a different workload, a little higher AVX and stuff like that. And we see here that the Deepcool won on an average by 0.3 and 0.7 on, 0.7. So it's just almost not even worth the trouble. But there's a lot of benefits to this. The fact that it's getting Noctua levels of performance here, and it looks better, it sounds a little bit less noticeable, and it's in the same price range, gives you another option. There's a lot of people that don't go with Noctua when they want an air cooler because of the brown fans, the beige fans, and you have to like literally buy extra stuff. They're Chromax fans if you want to, get out of this. And they don't even make a black version of this fan yet, and this fan is integral to, this cooler's performance. So this is a new king. It's supposed to be $100. That's around the price of this. I think that the NHD15, depending on the version you get, is a little bit lower these days. But I don't know if this guy is going to be available in the US at $99 right off the hop, because I already saw it listed. I'm doing this video on the 24th. It's supposed to be on sale on the 25th. I already saw it on sale for $130 in the US. So I hope that the MSRP, that's what they told me at CES, that this would be $100, and it's a direct competitor to both of these guys. And as long as, it's in the same price bracket, it's a really good alternative because it cools just a little bit better, it looks better, and the noise coming from it is a little bit less noticeable, if not a little bit louder dBA-wise, but whatever. So ultimately, I think that's a win for Deepcool, because obviously, like, they put another heat pipe in this, and it's not really doing that much better than this thing. There's like limitations on how far you can go with an air cooler, and these guys have kind of reached it. But to see that they actually won, there's no denying it. For averaging everything out, they won, even if it was by a degree or two, is a testament to Deepcool and how far they wanted to go with this to make sure that it was the best on the market. And the looks are good as well. So, you can't argue with that. So, I'm at Watch Timmy Joe, Instagram and Twitter. This has been a wonderful little CPU stress testy kind of day where we got to the bottom of the Assassin III, literally the best air cooler on the table and probably that you can buy. Whether or not it's the best value or, it's the best, for your particular system due to RAM compatibility or, what you want to do, I'll leave that up to you. But, I mean, something goes wrong with this, fan breaks, you know what? It's not going to kill your system. Where if you go with an AIO, that is certainly if the pump goes, something that could hurt your system or if it leaked. Where, Deepcool is actually one of the better companies, if not the best company out there for CPU performance cooling. Their Castle is like really, really good AIO. Now they have an air cooler for the people that want that. It's good for them, and that's not a knock on Noctua. I love their stuff, but they need to get some black versions of these fans out before I'll ever say that they're good looking. This thing's pretty good looking. I think it looks awesome. So I'm at Watch Timmy Joe, Instagram and Twitter. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that solved the air cooler mystery that you had in your brain. And I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good day.